This video is sponsored by Echo D Super Baby Diaper and Wet Wipes made with bamboo.
Okay, so I chanced on it on the internet, Instagram, and it was actually Marian's own. I got so interested in it, and I went to the page and then I started watching other people's videos. Everything about it was so nice. Like, I couldn't stop laughing.
So I was looking for a platform where we could have nursing mothers engage in such things to educate people on some of our struggles. And I think my colleague, Elikem, she was my classmate in the uni back then. She posted her video. So I followed it up and I saw Dromo Baby on Facebook and I started watching the videos.
I actually watched, I've forgotten the lady's name, but she's in Wa. Yes, the lady with the 7-year-old son, and yeah, I really loved that one. I laughed a lot.
I don't remember her name either, but it was in Tree, and she talked about getting drunk. My favorite. I love that one so much.
And then there was another one that I was so emotional about the whole thing. Helena, her own was so touching, and I liked it. Yeah.
It's changed my life a lot. I think my friends would say that I like going out, I like having fun. I mean, I'm all about my champagne and my wine, okay? Now, when I was pregnant, I couldn't drink, I couldn't do like so many things. So now that I've had the baby, it's almost like I've continued the same thing where I don't go out a lot. I have to really plan, or it has to like really be worth it for me to want to like get the nanny and sort or structure my whole life out to go out. So I realized that now I don't go out a lot. And even with my friends, the friends that I've curated over time, I realized that now like my friends are more moms than my other friends. Like, yeah, because we talk about the same thing. Oh, breastfeeding, oh, she's not eating well, what should I do? When you went to the hospital. So I realized that even with my friendships, it's changed quite a lot. I'm closer to my friends with kids than my friends without. I don't know why. And yeah, going out, it has to really be worth it for me to want to restructure like my whole day and pay my nanny overtime for me to want to go out. Yeah.
Okay, so pregnancy and delivery. For me, after delivery, it kind of felt like I'm not on my own. I mean, everything that I do, I need to consider my baby boy. And yes, like before baby came, we're all going out and things like that. But when baby comes, like if you should go out and then you leave baby behind, you are thinking about baby. And if you should go with baby to another wahala altogether. So after delivery there, it's not been easy, but I mean, what can you do? If you didn't have it, you would have complained or something. So we just cope with it as it is, yeah.
It's like you can't even have time for yourself. Everything is about them. You have to make sure that everything is okay. 12 o'clock, you have to have the food ready. Now supper is done at 3 instead of 4 or 5 or 6 because you don't want them to come and things are not in order or in place. Everything has changed about me. Everything. I've become cooler. I'm not.
You just have to. There's another person who is basically you. The person is part of you, so you have to really think things through. So yeah, and it's also changed the number of children I wanted to have. I wanted 3 now. 2 is okay. But I don't know if it's the same for you guys. But I think I feel more confident. I think I've always been kind of confident, but I feel like it's like after what you've done, there's some kind of strength. I don't know if you mothers all feel the same. Like,
and when it comes to you and your partner, like before baby, you make time for each other and everything is fine. But baby comes, your sleeping position even change. Like anytime, it's all centered on baby. You plan everything around the baby. But I mean, what can we do?
It's helped us in a way. Even though on the spectrum of being confident, I think I'm leaning more towards not being as confident because especially now my clothes and like the way I dress and all of that, I'm still trying to get my body back to pre-baby. I don't know if it's wishful thinking on my part, thinking that, you know, like I'll do keto and then my husband is just looking like, You know, last time I ordered the food and it came and he was like, even slaves will not eat this food by you. Like, you know, I'm just still struggling and trying to, I guess, get back there. And in trying to do that, I find that there are a lot more days when I'm not feeling as myself. And when my husband realizes that he takes our daughter away a little just so that I can have my little pity party, sometimes in the bathroom I'll cry a little and I'll be like, I'm so fat, why am I so fat? My body is just out of hand now, my God. Like those things, you know, I have my little pity party, but I realize that I'm a bit more on the, I'm still trying to work on the confidence bit of it. I'm still dealing with the changes with my body. But in terms of our relationship, I realized that it's made my husband and I, the dynamic between us better. First, we used to butt heads a lot in terms of like, even when I was pregnant, you're not supposed to eat this, and the book said this, and then, like, you know, he's like tyrannical, like, the book says this, so we have to go by this. And I'm like, but they said I can eat pineapple. No, they said pineapple induced labor, you know, like those things. And then after we have the baby, even like how we discipline the baby and how we do things, I realized that we used to butt heads a lot, but as time has gone on, we've come to an understanding on how to do things, and because of that, it's made our dynamic better. We're able to plan better, we're able to communicate better. Even when like we have a disagreement and the baby's there, you know, you have to do like, you know, it's like you're arguing, but you're arguing like with your eyes, like, because you say, she'll repeat it. If you say a bad word, she'll repeat it. So now I have to keep the bad word inside him, like.
Well, I think what surprised me was how difficult it was at points in time. You know, the whole concept is after marriage, you have to get pregnant. So everybody's, oh, hey, when you're pregnant, everybody's so happy. Oh, you're pregnant, like, yeah, and you're also happy. But you don't realize that it also comes with a lot of challenges that nobody tells you about. Because I presume they don't want you to be scared. Because someone told me that, oh, labor, it's not painful. When you go, you give birth, that's all. So, you know, I also had that in my mind, like, oh, when it's not painful, but it was so painful. So I think, I don't know, people say you shouldn't talk about the difficult parts. But I also feel like sometimes you should prepare others. Don't maybe scare them, but just prepare them that it's not that easy. There are some difficult parts to it. Everybody has different challenges that they go through.
So they never told us that we're going to pee like crazy. Hey, you are in the office, you're working, you have to run. And if you're not careful to, you just disgrace yourself. So sometimes I had to take like 4 or 5 panties or undies because I want to change. So at the point I started wearing adult diapers because I can't just be going out. I didn't want them to know anyway. When I'm pregnant, you can't see like this. I can be pregnant sitting like 7 months, 8 months. You wouldn't know, yes. So I didn't want them to know because they would say, hey, hey, sister, because already someone said something very painful to me. She told me that, why don't you know how to plan your life? Why is that you just give it like an egg? And I said, hey, madam. And they never told us to how things were going. I wish my mother had told me that, hey, brace yourself. But she never. She said, oh, Drew, I'll be worried here. She never did.
I wish they had told me that it's okay not to get pregnant right away. For someone like me, it took quite a while to get pregnant. We tried for a bit. I think my husband at a point even got frustrated with me because I was impatient. I was like, everyone, so we decided to wait a year to get pregnant after we got married. And halfway through the year, my husband is what people call book long. He is by the book. If we've agreed on this, we are not changing it. We are sticking to it, and that's that. So 6 months through the 1 year agreement, I come back and I'm like, oh my God, everybody's having a baby. Let's do this, da-da-da. He's like, no, that's not what we discussed, and I'm not backing down. And it was because no one had explained that it's okay not to get pregnant right away. If you've discussed it with your partner, let it be that. Don't let the external people be the reason why, you know, you want to change things in your life and all of that. So I would go to the hospital. I was taking all manner of drugs in order to try and like have this baby that's my mom and everyone else was giving me pressure about. It's like, you know, when you get pregnant in Ghana, they think, achoo, you are pregnant, like automatically, you know. And I wasn't. And now everybody was wondering, like, what's wrong with you? What's happening? This, that, you know. So that was one thing I had to get used to, that it's okay not to get pregnant right away. And if you're trying, be patient with yourself. And when it's time, it would come. Because the time I found out I was pregnant, I had stopped. Look, I went into like some dark place and I was like, God, like, I'm done with you, like, you know, because you're not giving me this thing, and I've told you, we've had this discussion, make it happen quick. And I used to be like one of those people where I would judge people. If you got married and you were not pregnant right away, I'll be like, why aren't you getting pregnant? So, you know, it took me a moment to realize that all these judgments I had passed on to people, now I was feeling the heat of that particular thing. And I was like, oh my God, this is how women feel when society is giving them pressure to get pregnant right away. And it took time. So when I eventually found out in traffic, actually, the urine in like a bottle, pregnancy kits in the other, the cars were honking behind me. And I didn't want to do it at home because I didn't want my husband to say, "Wababium," with you. Because every day I used to make him buy pregnancy test kits. Babe, I think today is the day. Like, my best friend, she would, attest to this. If my husband and I got together tonight, the next morning, I was buying a pregnancy test kit. Look, I was ready. Like, that's how ready I was. So with this one, when I let go, gave up everything, in traffic, I found out, and I was ecstatic. But then the journey to that point, it was a lot. From close family members, from friends, from people that were not even close to you, but then they felt like they had a say in the time you gave birth. So that was the surprising thing, the fact that I didn't get pregnant right away, and it was a bit of a struggle because I thought I was fertile, like, you know.
Okay, so the company that I work with, we have this insurance, so we have a list of hospitals that we can, choose. So I started with one, and after 2 months, I had to change. So a colleague saw that I was going to one particular hospital, and then she said she's been there before and the experience and all that wasn't the best. I actually got 3 other people also, talking about the same thing. Someone actually lost their wife there. So I had to change my mind, and they recommended that I can go to Reg. So that was where I decided later, and then went to there.
My first hospital, I chose a government hospital closer to my school in case I'm due. Then I was doing my master's then, so they'll just rush me to the hospital. I was getting pre-eclampsia signs. They were not doing anything about it. So that hospital wasn't good. Then I changed it to another government hospital because the doctor was very professional. He's a prayerful man. Even in operating, he's praying for you. I went there, the midwives were like, who gave me the audacity to come here? They don't do that. You settle at the hospital, you make sure they end, you finish with them. You don't just come in like that after 8 months of, or you're almost due. Then the doctor said, because her case is quite special, she's swollen up. A lot of protein she has so much protein in her system, we have to do a lot to help her because her case is serious. So this is what happened. So I was with the doctor. I went for antenatal on Monday. I came back home on Tuesday. When I came, actually, not knowing, my water had broke. Like the water that protects the baby, the membrane, it had broke from Tuesday. And I called the doctor, this is what is going on, and I went. The day I got there, the midwife was like, pregnancy is painful. Get ready, you are going to go through pain. It's like, how can you talk like this? So I'm telling you so that you psych your mind. So she put the needle through my hand to let me know that this is how it's going to be. So I went to another government, which a friend recommended through a friend. The first time I went, oh, madam, we heard of your first experience. We beg you. We are apologizing on behalf of our colleagues. They are also our colleagues because we all meet at a council, so we all know them. Please, forgive us. Sometimes it's the pressure of the job. So it was then I began to understand that even one midwife who was with me, she had lost her daughter and she had lost her sister. So I started understanding, so some of these things, because of some of the conditions you go through. So the second hospital, they were so nice. Government, but they have a VIP for you and your husband where you can deliver. It is affordable for everybody.
So I was in a private hospital, and so I liked my doctor, but I hated the nurses. The nurses were so mean. Look, so what happened was when I found I was pregnant, I think there were 2 kids. There were twins. However, I started to, one was dissolving or one didn't really attach well. So they were scared about the second one that was left. So that meant that I had to take progesterone, and the drug is called Cyclogest. It helps the baby attach, I think, to the uterus properly. So there's the pill that you take, and then there's the injection, but apparently it's oil-based. So when they inject you, there's a particular way apparently nurses have to pinch your bum so that when they inject it, it would dissolve or whatever. Mind you, I hate injections. I cannot stand it for the death of me. I don't even understand who created it. So my daughter explains to me that, you have to take this, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, okay, no problem. So when I go, the nurse is just very brash with me. And this is at a private clinic. Very, very brash. Turn your bottles, turn it, da-da-da. And my husband knows I don't subscribe to bullying. I'm a bully, but I don't subscribe to it. So I was like, no. And she was like, no. So you are rejecting the medicine? You are rejecting it? 10. So because she and I had already had like a tiff, when it was time to inject, she didn't even bother trying to, because you're supposed to numb, the way you pinch it is supposed to numb it so that when you inject, look, it was the most excruciating thing in this life. And I had to do it, I think, twice a day for about 3-4 days. So she would come. So by the time I left the hospital, all you could see was little lumps because the medicine hadn't dissolved properly where she had injected me. So all you saw was little lumps of like the medicine on my bum. So I told the doctor point blank. I was like, look, Dr. Sama, I love you, but I'm not delivering at this hospital. I'm just not doing it. He's like, why? We've been through this journey together, da-da-da. I was like, look, I need a place where the nurses would be patient enough, because not every patient is like Jojojo. Some of us, we are giddy and yeah, pitchy. So we need a nurse that would understand that and deal with us. So I started asking around, talking to my friends who had had kids. Where did you have your baby? Where did you have your baby? What was your experience? All of these things. And most of them said they had gone to Ridge Hospital and they had used the corporate side of Ridge Hospital. So I was like, okay, no problem. So I decided to be a hospital ashawo. I tried almost every hospital. I wanted to get to a place where my spirit was at peace when I saw the doctor, when I communicated with the doctor. So eventually I went to Ridge and then I spoke to my doctor and he was cool. Look, he's an older guy. He understood that first time we are petri, everything, we get so scared. So he's like, look, take my number. Anytime, message me and I would respond. And I liked that. I liked knowing that my doctor was literally at my fingertips. I could call. And there were times when we had emergencies and I would message at 11:30 p.m. and he would respond. And even when I was going to, he told me, look, go to your private hospital and come to Ridge at the same time till you get to 32 weeks and then you can come and see me only. That's because of obviously the processes at government hospitals take longer. So he would prescribe like, let's say lab tests and he's like, okay, go to your private hospital, go and do it and bring me the results. So even when we had this emergency I'm talking about, he was like, okay, when you go, tell the doctor to give you this, this and that. Whatever medication he's giving you, take a screenshot and send to me. So I was like, okay. So every medicine, I'm like, can I take this? Can I take that? So the emergency was we started bleeding at 32 weeks. So you have to take some steroids, which would let the baby's lungs develop faster, just in case you go into labor much earlier than expected, or you have the baby much earlier than expected. So when I went, I was like, okay, Dr. Pobi, he said I should take this, this, and this. Is it okay to take? He said, yeah, it's okay. Yeah. You know, he's like amazing. All the people that have had babies at Ridge, they know Dr. Pobi. He's a chill guy. So yeah, he's like, yeah, take it, it's good to go. So it's only when he said it's okay that I would let my private hospital doctor give me the medication.
I also like to say my doctor, Dr. Jojogbe, I like to thank him because what he's doing a yeoman's job. Lack of logistics and they are producing magic. The labor ward is just one. Everyone wants to, and when they get into labor, like about 4 women in labor, hey, Obi dear bo, yeah, sorry. Why we are sorry, I'm like, God, this is a typical rural community. What is going on? You're not sorry, when you're serious, your best or no brad, then the person will come. Hey, one way we are sorry, because chocolate penny, we crackle, penny move to me, chocolate to say we were. I'm like, oh, chocolate to say we were young girl. I'm like, what is going on? So when I went to the other side and I saw the Charlie VIP, dear cool. They were serious. I mean, they were so nice. Shai Osudoku Hospital. Thank you, Solomon Ajaho. And then thank you to Adiza, the midwives of 12 December 2018. They did something that I don't know. I went to fight too. Please, I'm on camera. You see, there was this midwife that we brought my son, and she was like, take that boy out. There's an infection here. Open your hepatitis B. And then the midwife was like, sister, cool down. The woman, she has a problem. And I said, madam, why? You bring yourself, I'll bring myself. And the woman was like, hey, you this small guy come to. I said, you bring yourself and see. So they had to call in the PR. And he came and he was like, hey, sister, calm down for the woman. And she's an old woman. You know, she can be like your mother. I said, when I finish delivering, I'll deal with her. So me that I'm coming to deliver. They are coming to take care of me. I'm coming to deal with someone.
So I was also at Shai Osudoku. I delivered there, but I also had, when I was doing the prenatal care, I did it both in the private and the public. So at Shai Osudoku, and then there was another private hospital I was going to, because I realized the scans were not so frequent at Shai Osudoku, and I wanted a place that I can always have a scan and see the baby and be sure that the baby is okay. So yeah, so it's like they will tell you to, it's like if you want the scan, you kind of have to ask, and then unless they think there's something wrong, then they'll tell you to go for a scan. But so I used to go, because the private hospital, you do the scan every time, it's part of the bill. So it was much more expensive. I don't have health insurance, so I used to kind of, how do I explain, like sift out so maybe once a month I'll go to the private hospital, and I told them that I'm not going to deliver here, I'm just coming for the prenatal care here. So I was basically, so Shai Osudoku, I used to go for their classes and everything. Yeah, I did, because the health insurance it actually works at Shai Osudoku. Those who don't have health insurance and you want the only unfortunate thing is there are a lot of queues, you wait. So you just have to be patient, because they are catering for so many people in that region. They are the main hospital for the whole Shai Osudoku area. Very good record. And if you are also picky about bathrooms and things, there's a private room that you can be in. They'll only bring you out with everyone else if you're about to go into labor, because they have to keep an eye on you. But it's not too expensive to, it's 100 cedis. It has aircon. It's really nice. Air conditioned TV, your own bathroom. It's really, really nice. So yeah, you can. It's really cool. So I'm selling the place.
You guys have not enjoyed it.
I'm selling.
Tell them about that, because rich corporate.
Central cooling. There's no water heater. It's central heat and water. Okay. Like, my husband was in shock when we went in. You know, now that they've redone the hospital and everything, it's a paperless environment. So any doctor that comes, so for instance, Dr. Kobe was my doctor, but I was supposed to have the scheduled cesarean at 38 weeks. At 37 weeks, my water broke and I went into labor. Okay. So I called Dr. Kobe, obviously I was panicking and everything. He's like, don't worry, there's a doctor there. And the doctor, all he had to do was literally log into the system and know that, okay, this is like my history, whatever it was. And then we went into the theater and then he did whatever I was, you know. And then when we went upstairs, I was like, oh, it's not bad. That place is neat, you know.
Yeah.
There's an elevator. So they have like a service elevator, which is big enough to have like the whole bed wheeled in. So after you do the cesarean, there's a recovery room where they put you in with all there are about maybe 26? Yes. 26. Yeah, and then there are so many nurses, and then they come and they attend to you. They try to interact with you, encourage you to hold the baby. Me, I was not interested in it. I was like, look, man is tired after this labor and this cesarean life. Like, I don't want to hold the baby. She was like, hold the baby. I was like, I don't want to hold the baby. So she still puts the baby by me. But then when we get upstairs, I noticed that the place is so clean. And being there, they clean the place like 5 times. While you're there, and that one, look, they will come and clean. They will feed you, the bathroom, everything. I was like, I can't believe. No, actually, it was very affordable. One thing I'll say is, my mom is a typical 21st century grandmother. good for the looking, but not good for the touching. She can sit and tell you, do this. You know, those things. She can organize you, but as to the hands-onness of it, my mom she wants to go to her shop, go and manage her things, those things. So she doesn't have that time to do that. But she can sit and tell you, do this, do this, do that. Just the same way with the bentwa. She never did it. She told me, Vaseline, no, you know, those things. She will tell you. So one thing I realized is that when I speak to a lot of my friends, about 60% of them have 21st century grandmothers. Good for their talking. They can sit on the sidelines like football coaches and tell you, this is not done. This is not right. This can kill the baby. The baby is dying. Literally, they are like Google times 20, especially when you want to do like your own thing. Till date, like I remember when I had my daughter, I read that you shouldn't bath the babies twice. You should bath them once in order to keep the natural baby oils, at least for some time, till they start getting overly active. You should just bath them once. My mother said, what? What? Brony Ben Nekasa, like, she was like, no. So sometimes I would leave them and go to work. And then when I come back, I noticed that the baby has a different shadow on. And I'm like, so I asked my nanny, Christina, I don't know what my sister called. Grandma see your shoulder no. And I was like, but you're in air condition. How is the baby sweating? I see your shoulder no. And knowing my mother, she will have her way. So, you know, these are like the little things where she would override it because she's saying that, no, this is how it's done and this is how it's supposed to be. And it's tough because you butt heads a lot. Sometimes even my husband has a way in which he wants us to do stuff. And then my mom has a way. And then I have to be like the middle person because he doesn't want to have to like be mean to my mom. So he'll call me, babe, come. So when I go to the room, then he'll be like, can you tell your mom not to, like, you know, because there was a time she gave my baby cocoa when we were introducing solids. And I told her, I was like, Mommy, wait. When I come back from work, we can all try it together. Because in Ghana, it's a common thing to force feed the child. Like, if, you know, the baby is not eating, you're going to hook the baby up and shove the food in anyway. And I didn't want that. And I specifically told my mom, I was like, Mommy, I don't want that. I just want us to slowly introduce the baby to that. So she's like, okay. So I go to work, and when I come back, I notice that there are cocoa streaks. And my husband was in the house, but I think he didn't want to like be dealing with it. So I noticed that there are cocoa streaks. I was like, Mommy, did you give her the cocoa? I was like, did she like it? Oh, dear, Ankasa. I was like, so how come there are cocoa streaks on you? Because that shows that like there was a struggle. Okay, okon kakrebi. And so, like, you know, you tell her, oh, don't do this, and then she would do it. So my husband called me and he was like, you know, you just tell her that if she doesn't want to eat it, like, don't force her, those things. But naturally, in the Ghanaian culture, if the baby doesn't want to eat, like, what do you mean by you don't want to eat? Like, I'm force feeding you, I'm the adult sort of thing. So that's sort of like the kind of thing. And also we are trying to teach our daughter to have a say. Like in the mornings when she wakes up, I ask her, do you want milk? Do you want cereal? She's now starting to talk. So she'll say, yeah, no. My mom will be like, dear no name. The thing I will be sounding like, Fama no, you know, like she's not about the conversation life, like I'm the adult sort of thing. So I've also noticed that that's a thing that we are trying to change from like the societal thing where because you're an adult, you can't, like the child doesn't have a say in those things. So that's another angle at which we're trying to change.
After delivery, it was a bit of that, but then, I mean, after some time, it was okay. I was actually with my mother-in-law, and I must say, she's very good. She's been so helpful, and she respects privacy. She doesn't really want to do anything that would offend me. So usually, she would suggest. And if she realized that I'm not so okay, my body language, she'll just end it and then go with what I am saying. So I really didn't get much pressure from her. And if she did something in my absence and I came back to meet it and I didn't really like it, I'll just talk to my husband about it, and my husband spoke to me about that, yeah.
So now things are cool. We've managed to come to an agreement. But when we were introducing my baby to solids, it was like a war. So my mom and my mom-in-law, they are very hands-on. Like, I have to commend them. They are so helpful. I can freely leave the baby with any of them and I'm okay. But it also means that they have more of a say. So when we were introducing him to solids, I wanted to take it easy. I didn't want him to become averse to feeding, because I, as a baby, my mother always says that I was very averse feeding. And I know it's because she used to force me to eat. So I didn't want to do that to my son. And they were also saying, you have to force him to eat the food, you know. And so it was like a war in a sense, because so now I had to involve my husband to talk to my mom-in-law, and then I would deal with my mother. So we are like standing in between, because I can't go and talk to my mom-in-law, like fight with her or argue with her, and then he can also come and argue with my mom. So the two moms had formed one alliance. And we had formed our alliance. So we were really, it was a struggle, like, you know, not a struggle, like I'm not someone who will go and fight and shout, but it was like a silent struggle. There were tensions and undertones, serious ones. So my husband would go and talk to his mom, talk to her, and then I also go and talk to my mom. And then I had to involve my sisters too, to, you know, talk, and my dad to talk to my mom, like, you know, tell her that this thing that she's trying to force him to, like, you know, they wanted us to feed him, like, he has to eat banku, he has to eat fufu, and those kind of things. And I also wanted to start easy, like with Cerelac and the easier things that I thought were, and the breast milk as well, you know. And the thing is, they have their own ideologies about how you should feed the baby. They are like, oh, the breast milk is like dessert. That's how they see it. But on the contrary, the breast milk is supposed to be the essential until they are one. I mean, I used to read a lot, so that's what or formula, the breast milk or formula. So eventually we had to like really sit down and talk, like have a conversation. And I mean, they are really good. Like they've really helped me. They've been there for me in so many ways, in spite of all this. And up to now, my mothers, they are both my mothers. They've been really, really good to us. So we talked about it. We were able to come to an agreement. And my son too, luckily for me, he's he knows what he wants. He can eat the food and vomit everything on you. Yeah, because he was full and you forced him. He will vomit everything. Like, so they became skeptic, like, hey, this boy, he will come and vomit. It's like he will vomit all the food that you gave him plus the one you forced him to. So they also became a bit cautious of him because of that. And he can really fight, like he can kick the whole bowl out. Like, you know, he's very active and like he can, so that also helped because I realized they became cautious of him. They didn't want to force him to eat anymore. And it's like we all came to an agreement. Now things are very okay. He's eating so well. It's like when they start, just maybe for first time mothers, when the baby starts, I didn't introduce him till 6 months. So they take time to pick up. And sometimes it's perceived as they don't like eating. But I think they are just getting used to the new texture. It's like from breast milk, you are trying to give them, you are trying to spoon feed them, and they are not really used to it. So take your time, because right now my son, he eats really, really well. Like when you give him the food, as long as there are no lumps inside, he will eat everything. Yeah, so yeah, that was, and then another thing was my mother. She thought I was too emotional. When I first gave birth, she's like, oh, piss. Because I was like a little bit emotional. I don't think I was depressed, but it's just things used to really hurt me. Like anything used to hurt me. You say something, I'm so hurt. I don't know if you guys went through it, but I was so emotional. And she was like, but this one, what are you crying? What did I say that you are crying? Like,
it was so aggressive. Like there was a time my mom literally walked out of the house. She was like, she's done with this. Like she's not doing it. And I was also not backing down. I was like, okay, be on your way then. So my husband was actually the one that called, and then he was like, he spoke to my mom. He has a gentler demeanor as compared to me. And my mom is more like me. Like if you have a page and you flip it into, I am my mother's daughter. So my husband was like the buffer. So he called, he's like, oh, you know, be gentle. Then he called me. He's like, babe, why are you doing that? Just like relax. You know, she's just trying. And I was like, no, she thinks it's like another child that she has given birth to. But I needed to make her understand that my word was law, basically. I think it had to do with breastfeeding. Like it took some time for my milk to come. And every time I would give my daughter formula, my mom was literally the first in line to mom shame me. some formula with chemicals, no, you know. And my mom says I breastfed till I was 6. I would go to school, come back, and say, Mama, nom kakre. So to my mom, she doesn't understand why I managed to breastfeed you till you were 6. And like in the first few weeks, you are like substituting. And I was like, I'm not going to allow you to do that. I'm struggling, I'm trying. I was taking all manner of cookies and all of that. So I wasn't expecting that from her. And my mom also didn't understand why I was like, it was almost like we're butting heads on this particular topic. So that day she got upset and she was like, over, she's leaving me. She actually sent me like a text. I didn't even know that my mom could text so fast because as she was going on, she was texting it to me that she's walking out, she's not coming again. You know, those things. But I used to be very feisty. Even my husband had to like, it was almost like he was making sure I wasn't heading into a depressive state because every single thing that you said became like combative. Like, are you trying to judge me? I know what I'm doing. Even when I didn't know what I was doing, just because you've asked me about it, I'd be like, are you trying to question me? You know, so he would take his time and everything. But my mom and I, oh my God, we're batting heads like crazy. It took some time for me to also like realize that, okay, I don't have to respond to everything that's, you know, everything that she says. I have to just pick and choose like those things.
Did any of you have them saying that like your parents saying that your baby is not big enough, like he's small? Did you ever have? Because I had it all the time. But like, he's so slim. He's definitely so.
Oh my God.
I can't even carry him in my back. Oh God.
Mine was, yesterday she came over and she was like, Wafon, Efua, Wafon, Wafon. And my mother's solution to Wafon, Mama Nediane. Even when like she's just eating, like 10 minutes later, if she does, my mom will say, Wame, Mama Nediane, you know, all because she says, Wafon, Efua, I don't know Wafon, say, yeah, we were say Mama Nediane, you know. So my mom's solution, even if like she's fussy about something, my mom will say it's because she's hungry. We don't feed her enough. So yesterday, she ate like 6 times. There was a time she even kicked like the bowl away because like she was not having it. And my mom was, Ade, and I am now Cerelac. No. Christina, you mama no. And I was like, the girl is full. Look at her stomach. And my husband too is anti like overly chubby kids. So even when she drinks the milk and she has like a big stomach, you'd be like, we are overfeeding her. Then just imagine my husband on one side is saying we're overfeeding her. And my mom on one side is saying that wafong. So I'm like, So I just enter the room and then I'll leave the two of them to just handle whatever it is.
I plan with the doctors that right at the hospital, they will tell them. Then when I get home, I'll call so that my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law will hear the whole thing. Then I'll just relax. So she told me that when my mother-in-law actually said when I get home, the umbilical area, I should use toothpaste. And then, you know, the head, I've forgotten the name, the head, I should use warm water, hot water actually, and warm. So what I did was, when I got home, so my mom, like we spoke to the doctor spoke to my husband extensively. No traditional, we don't come and bat the baby, blah blah blah. Like leave the child. The first micronium, be normal, and yeah we know that. Then my mother-in-law came again. That, let's wear the baby beads. Me do film say, I can't handle this. So me bube food I'll verse. So I have to plan. If not, I will misbehave. So I have to be calm. And you know, there's a lot of wisdom and tact. I put the phone on loudspeaker, called the doctor. Then the doctor, Doc, please, what did you tell us to do the last time? They said, no this, no that. Oh, okay. Then she had it. I said, oh, and you're fine. Then you say, okay. That was all. That ended everything.
Your mother my mom, even if the doctor has said it, she would
me.
Be like,
At the point, they said the leg, it has become K, and then how am I batting the baby? I'm not massaging the leg. And you know, me, to be frank, I told my mother that Pacho, where we are called. You are coming to help me, but you are also coming to stress me. My mother-in-law, the same thing. When me say, hey, Juma, please. You see, I will do it alone. I will strive and do it alone. So after 2 weeks, she left. My second baby, too, same thing. And I'm in form, then I'll bath them. Then my husband will come and do in the evening. Then I will sleep. I was doing it myself. Then I'll go and cook. Now me feel labor ward by now kitchen here and I sitting. I was cooking right after labor ward, I will say. So I strived because it is stress. I'm already stressed. I'm tired. Don't come and add up. Do this, do that, go away. When you're even sleeping, hey, what is Akolanisu? I was even literally crying. My yarding. The husband said, you see, because when they are little like that, he said when they are little like that, he wants them to, when they grow and say, now they're my show on their chain, so that kind. So I planned with the doctor from there about this traditional stuff. But when it got to, I told them, I want my space, because I was setting into postpartum depression. The way things had gone on in the hospital and things, I was going into deep depression. Everything, I become aggressive. Hey, my boo says here. That kind of thing. And I wasn't myself. I had changed. I had become a very loud person. Oh yeah, my dear. Normally, I would just be like a cat. But this time, I want to act. Because everything was just upsetting me. From the way they treated me, I feel human beings don't deserve that. And then from even the way I came back to work, my colleagues behaved around me. I said, nah, this thing, and I believe that when women, we go and we come back, we change. We become more confident. We feel like we've conquered something. We are so bold.
Okay, so raising up my boy, I've got some great support. The nature of my job is such that I'm not always available. I mean, hotel jobs, you don't know weekends, you don't know holidays, so you're always going to work. But like I mentioned earlier, my in-law is really doing a great job. My boy is so very active. He's not the quiet type. But the good thing is that he eats very well. So, I mean, my in-law is able to feed him well. She's always at home with him and coach him what he does. And the days that I am also available, I talk to him. Even though he might not understand, I try to let him know certain things, and I'm sure with time he picks up. My husband is also very, very helpful. There are times that he knows I'm very tired. He will step in, play with him, try to teach him certain things and all that. So we are doing our best, I think. So, okay, so I got pregnant again and I lost it. And after my firstborn, and since then I'm a bit like, I'm kind of scared thinking of it that I might encounter the same thing, but I'm very hopeful that I'll add one more. So all in all, 2 kids will be fine for me. A boy, yeah. I love boys, but I won't mind having a little me. I think that'll be fine.
We wanted a child that was curious, would ask questions. We wanted her true character to show through. Because in this culture, it's so easy to stunt the child's true nature. Like, it's almost like when you're timid, that's when you're respectful. But that's not necessarily it. We should encourage our kids to ask questions, be boisterous, be who they are, adventurous. So when we found out we were pregnant, we had already decided that we were not going to do that, where we would be on the child and literally yell at them and all of those things. So that was one thing we decided. And then we decided that when I had the baby, we would only stay with my parents for a month. After that, we were going to do it as if we were in a brochure, no parents, no help, just us, and then we would face it together. So I stayed with my mom at her place for just a month. And after that, we went home and we faced whatever it was like alone, you know. So it was when I was going to work that my mom came over and then had to help us now, like become, I guess when the nanny came, my mom had to come over and help us and everything. But even then, she wasn't staying. She would come and she would go, because I wanted it to be in such a way that my daughter knew that it was us as a unit, mommy, daddy, me, and everything else was external, but the people that were constant were me and her father. So when it comes to teaching her stuff, like when she does something, the way in which we would tell her it's not right, you know, even with that, like I'm more stern than my husband, and we had a whole discussion about it. Okay, so you can be the stern one and then I'll be the good cop. So good cop, bad cop thing. We had a whole discussion. So in terms of parenting, we actually sat down and decided this is how we are going to do it. Regardless of what anyone says, this is how we're going to do it. So we're still sticking to that.
So through it all, I will say God has been a factor. I mean, I know a lot of us depend on God, or at least we have some religious background, but sometimes like I just feel like you can't do everything. We are just humans. So I pray a lot. I just commit my son into God's hands, because there will be a time when I can't even be around, whether you like it or not. That is how life is. So I always pray, and I just recommend it to all parents, mothers and fathers, prayer. Then my parents, as I said, my moms-in-law, in spite of everything, I love them so much because they are really there. In contrary to your style, we are actually really involving them, because at least all they still have their strength. Because, you know, sometimes my husband's work sometimes takes him away. Even on Christmas Day, he was working. So, you know, I use my mother's a lot. So my mother-in-law is closer. So when I go to work, that's where he is. And then my mom is a bit further away. So during the holidays, we go there. Or she comes, she stays for some days, takes care of him. Or recently, we started leaving him, but we are just doing it for a few days at a time so that he gets used to it. So we started leaving him with my mom. We just tried it for the first time. He was okay, and now he's back. So my mothers too have been great. And then my husband, I'll sit him down and say, I need help. I need help with this. I'm tired. Today I'm tired. I'm suffering all day. You know, I think I unload a lot of emotional stuff onto him. He's really supportive, and I'll just tell wives that talk to your husband. Sometimes they don't understand fully what we are going through, but when you talk to them, then they kind of get a picture of what it is that we are going through as mothers. Don't assume. That's the thing. You assume that they should know that I'm tired. When they come, they have to come and take the baby. Like, they should know, but they also come with their own stresses and tiredness from work, without thinking that you go to the office or you work from home. The baby is so tiring, and some fathers don't get to spend time with the babies alone, so they might not know. So you just talk to them, try to get them to understand what it is you're going through, because I think that has really helped me. Whenever I talk to my husband, he understands much more what I'm going through. So, I mean, today the baby is with him and I'm not worried. He has everything covered. He can feed him, he can bath him, he can do everything. So, you know, in those kind of situations, I'm not worried at all. So, yes, and my family, I don't know, my family, we are quite close. My sister can come and babysit when there's no one available and I really need her, she can come and babysit for him. My brother-in-law, my husband's brother, he also can come and babysit for the child. So, you know, I think I understand the concept of trying to do it alone, but for me, I appreciate the support, and I use it, because, you know, every now and then you just need to chill a little, just go out small or hang out with your husband, kakra.
If I don't say this, my husband will say, hey, sir, I want to appreciate him. Oh, it's not easy. Sometimes he takes them, then I go for meetings for long hours. Sometimes, what do you call it? He stays with them. Hey, I can go out and do my own rounds. And one thing I want to chip in, parents, please, I don't know their religion, but if you're a Christian or a Muslim, a believer, learn to start teaching your children as early as possible how to pray. My children, I started early. I've taught them the Lord's Prayer. It's very good.
Can I add one more thing, that as parents, especially mothers, I say that trust your instincts. Like, when you feel something about your child, you are right. Because it's so consistent. Anytime you feel like, no, if I do this, this is what is going to happen. And truly, it always does. I'm sure you can testify to it. So in spite of, everybody will have an opinion. And most of the time, they mean well. Especially when it's coming from, like, your parents. They usually mean well. But if inside you, within you, you feel, or sometimes your husband will tell you something that, this thing, I don't think we should go. You just, if you feel that is what you should do, go ahead and do it, or don't do it. Because you are right, and just trust in yourself. You are doing well. All parents, you are doing well. It's not easy. Sometimes you just feel like you don't know what you're doing. Like, am I doing the right thing? What if I'm not training him well enough? What if I'm beating him too much, so that maybe I'm in trying to get him to do the right thing. Maybe I'm rather stifling him. Or am I not disciplining him enough? Because the way this boy can be naughty, like, you know, but just try and trust in yourself. As I said, pray. And also trust in your abilities. God has given you that ability. That is why he has blessed you with that child. And the last thing I say is when you feel overwhelmed with your child, there are days that you feel especially overwhelmed. Just remember that a time will come when they don't want to hang out with you anymore. I always remind myself of that they want their independence. They won't want to always be with mommy. It is inevitable. So when I feel like, sometimes he wants to come to you all the time. He doesn't want you to even put him on the ground, cry. That day he wants you to carry him. I just try and remind myself that there's a year coming when I go to his room, he'll tell me that, mommy, please go out. I want my private.
I don't have to even look for it because she does it to me now. Like, you know how I'll tell you how she freely gives kisses to her dad, like freely, hugs, everything, gives it freely. Then sometimes she'll be holding on to me. I'm like, kiss for mommy. And she does this. And then she literally turns her face away like, I'm not interested. Then she walks away. And I'm like, oh, she doesn't want to spend time with me. I'm like, babe, she doesn't want to kiss me. And my husband will be like, too bad. Then, he takes his hugs and his kisses and whatnot. So, yeah, I totally agree that, yeah, sometimes, they're all over you. And other times, too, they would like, abandon you in the midst of everything, like traitors. But, yeah.
It is also our prayer that anyone that is looking for the fruit of the womb, we are praying as you watch us. Don't worry, your time will come. The Lord will bless you with one. It is not too late, my sister, or whatever you are thinking. I'm sure you've been watching. Sometimes you watch and you are sad. You are discouraged. If you watch, listen, as you are watching, you are tapping into it. You receive the fruits. So please, it's God building you financially, building you mentally, building you emotionally, building everything of you and your spouse for the journey, because it's not an easy one. That one, they won't lie to you. By Amen.
This video was brought to you by Echo Super Baby Diaper and Wet Wipes made with bamboo.